Good evening, happy Wednesday. I hope you're all having a great week so far. I was thinking about how really for me, this week has been the start of the fall semester. All of our programming is back, and how for some of our programming that we've been doing at church and in our collaborative ministries, training is involved and policies are needed and rules are enforced. We had our first MOPS meeting on Tuesday. It went so well. We had a bunch of new moms and kiddos. We have Rainbow Coffee House in full swing for our LGBT kid youth. That is at Grace United Methodist, a collaborative. We have the Free Store Ministry at Evangelical. And we have been doing more and more partnerships with them, not just with the free store and clothing and housing, but also with food, making sandwiches. And there is a COVID policy that our administrative council has created and cultivated at Hope United Methodist. And so there has just been a lot of time and energy spent recently on what rules do we need to govern, what programming, what kind of training needs to take place, what are our policies, and why. I was just talking with a former colleague and dear friend, Tyler Amundsen, and he is actually going to be doing training for all of my MOPS volunteers on Safe Sanctuary coming up. And he has this amazing handbook that he has created. And so I was reviewing it and looking at all of the policies. And one of the things that I loved in this handbook is the why. The why is it important to be trained in Safe Sanctuary? The why is it important to be able to know when to report things and know what's safe and what's not? And it made me think of when God gives the Israelites the commandments that he gives them in the book of Deuteronomy, and how people think of the book of Deuteronomy just like they think of the book of Leviticus as this ridiculous set of rules that's really like old and ancient and boring and barbaric. But Deuteronomy is this beautiful book because God is giving them a combination of what would have been an ancient Near Eastern marriage customs mixed with adoption customs. The Israelites at the time of Deuteronomy had been wandering around due to their own disobedience in the wilderness for 40 years. They were a people who had been enslaved. God had freed them. Moses had been with them, and God had provided everything for them. And so now that they're establishing themselves in the promised land, God is giving them a set of new rules and policies. And God isn't just giving it to them to punish them or to be a tyrant or to be a buzzkill. God is giving them all of these rules in Deuteronomy. And then he's reminding them why and also who he is. God reminds them that he continues to provide for their every need, even when they do disobey. That they have never needed anything, even when they were wandering around in complete disobedience in the wilderness, God still was with them. And God reminds them when he gives them the commandments that he gives them and the covenant that he sets before them with Moses, of exactly what they need to do, because he is the God that brought them out of slavery. He is the God who heard their cries when they were in Egypt. And I think for us today, that is so important. Whenever we are starting something new, like my husband Russ is starting classes at MSUB today. This is the first day. And so he is beginning this new semester. And so what is it? A lot of curriculum, a lot of syllabi, right? Syllabus after syllabus of rules and policies in classrooms and what the professor needs and what the professor expects and why. And I just think that it's so important for us to remember that structure is good And not only is structure good, but structure is actually also for our benefit. If the Israelites did not have the covenant and all of the rules that they had in the Old Testament, it would have been crazy and chaotic, and it never, ever would have felt like order, like home, like establishing a family. And that was what God intended. And the same goes for us. Anytime we want to do anything new, a ministry, a program. One thing I forgot to mention is we are starting a visitation ministry at Hope, and our friends at Shiloh United Methodist are coming to train us, and they have their own handbook on visitation ministry. And it's so important for us to have those rules and guidelines because it does give us structure, it does give us order, and allows us to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. You know, when I think about the rules that we used to hate as a kid of like no running with scissors, or no eating all of the junk food, or no eating all of your Halloween candy, right? It's fall, those sorts of things. No, talking and hanging out with strangers, all of those things. You realize the older you get that it wasn't your parents being mean, it was your parents keeping you safe and making sure that you were being set up by following those rules. You were being set up to have and fulfill the best life you could have. You were able to have the best, most abundant life. And that is God's prayer for us. So I want to read for you Deuteronomy chapter 4. Obedience commanded. Now, Israel, hear the decrees and laws I'm about to teach you. Follow them so that you may live and may go in and take possession of the land the Lord, your God of your ancestors, is giving to you. Do not add to what I command you. Do not subtract from it. But keep the commands of the Lord your God that I give you. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did. The Lord your God destroyed from among you everyone who followed Baal. But you who held fast in the Lord your God are still alive today. See, I have taught your decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering and take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about these decrees and say, surely this is a great nation, is a wise and understanding people. What other nation is so great as to have their gods near them in the way that the Lord our God is near us when we pray to him? And what other nation is so great as to have such righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I am setting before you? And that, my loved ones, is the final reason I am so glad that we have the covenant that we have with God, those rules that we have established, those things that we need to abide by as Christians, just like I'm glad we have policies in place for all of the things in our lives. It sets an incredible example, and it shines a bright light to the rest of the world that is looking in on us. You see, Israel and the testimony that Israel had was supposed to be this incredible beacon of hope and of righteousness, and that the nation of Israel was supposed to be a place that all others looked to and thought, wow, that's amazing. I want to do what they're doing. Supposed to be a faithful witness. Their lives were supposed to be just living evangelism for Yahweh God. And so when I think about us and when we follow the rules, when we do the things that we've been asked to do, when we wear our masks, when we don't want to, and we wear them anyway, when we get vaccinated, when we decide we're gonna get our booster, when we wash our hands, even though we think, well, maybe I'll just do a little hand sanitizer, and we stop and we're like, no, I'm gonna wash my hands. When we decide, okay, maybe it's probably not a good idea to go to this giant, huge event that's indoors. When we follow the rules, we are setting a good example to those around us that are looking in, that we don't even realize are looking in. And so I want us to remember that I know we've got a lot of policies. We've got a lot of new rules. We've got a lot of syllabuses if you're starting school. We've got trainings, all kinds of stuff because it's fall and things are starting up. But I want you to remember the why behind all of those things. And the why behind is to give you life and life abundance, to give life and life abundance to others, to protect yourself, to keep others safe, to honor God, and to be a light to the rest of the world, to use your life as a testimony to the weary world that's looking in. So I hope this gives you a different mindset the next time someone says, oh, well, we have some policies or a handbook for you to peruse and look through. You need to sign these pages and these pages. There's good reason for them. They provide structure to us, just like they provided structure and abundance and fulfillment and order and peace to all of our ancestors in the wilderness in Israel. I love you all. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all on Friday. Bye.